All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker this morning, Michele Hembrey-Waunch. And I want to tell you that she has a box of goodies here that is going to surprise us all.
Yes.
Let me tell you a little bit about her. Innate networking and people skills are evident when Michele Hembrey-Waunch, owner of Networking and Sales Strategies, attends business networking events. Selling for both product and service industries for over 35 years, Michele learned to appreciate that people have different behavioral styles, and to build successful rapport is as unique as each individual. Attending to the needs and requirements of potential customers, clients, or strategic alliances is accomplished effortlessly with her strategic style to the networking process. These skills were acknowledged by her local Chamber of Commerce, and she was invited to serve on their board of directors. She was one of the first requested to be a networking partner and has represented the Chamber on their ambassador committee. When asked to share her passionate networking insights, entrepreneurs, as well as seasoned business owners, commonly terrified of networking, overcome their fear and start building self-confidence with her very straightforward fundamental steps. At today's interactive presentation, Fearless Networking, she shares tips and strategies that she uses every day with her current sales occupation. Any salesperson or entrepreneur wanting to enhance brand awareness through networking but fears the course of action required should participate actively in the Fearless Networking presentation. Listen to how successes of over 30 years of experience, first-hand facts, informative, and sometimes entertaining networking style can help you look forward to building your business. Michele resides in Oshawa, Ontario, and with her husband Paul. Both work full-time in their current businesses and enjoy the benefits attributed to strategic networking and sales. It's my pleasure to introduce Michele Hembrey-Waunch.
Thank you very much. Hasn't he got a voice you could just listen to all day? Very much so. Good morning. Welcome to everybody. I hope you're ready here. This is going to be very interactive, and feedback at any time, please, please. This is a Fearless Networking course that's been designed to help remove some of that fear that either you or if you know somebody else that has any fears for networking, this should help you enhance those skills and hopefully help your bottom line. How many of you know somebody that is terrified of networking? How many of you would like to turn that terrified into terrific networking? First off, before I get going, again, I've been selling for years. I have sold wedding dresses, lawn care, chiropractic, and today cartridges. So I have sold everything, flowers, all kinds of stuff. One thing that we don't realize is that all of us are actually salespeople. So even though I can proudly say that I do sales for a living, we're all in sales. So based on this program actually came about because when I had joined the Whitby Chamber of Commerce, I was finding that there were a lot of other business owners who are in the banks, who were selling retail, who were in offices, dental offices, lawyers, had stopped and asked how I was doing my networking. What made me feel comfortable? What was it that I was doing that they wanted to share? They wanted me to share with them so that they could start also being more confident and knowing that as well with the networking that our sales actually went up for our business. So that's sort of how this came about. The perception of networking is a fear with networking. And what that is, it's a fear of rejection. We don't want to be rejected. None of us do. And when you're going into a networking event, this can be huge for some people, and they'll just avoid going. There's also a fear of the unknown. What's the room look like? I mean, how many people, if you hadn't been to one of these before, here, how many people just even like, okay, what's the room look like? You know, and I had called Priscilla, like, which room is it? I need to know. What room is it that we're in? Because I've been in the building before, and it was comforting to know sometimes, you know, while I've been in that room before. Just remove that little bit of a fear. What about the no? I mean, none of us want to have that. You know, whether or not, it's certainly for business, whether or not you're approaching somebody. We just don't want to hear a no. All of this can be changed. If we properly prepare, if we properly plan how we're going to be going to a networking event, and practicing our execution. All of this can help remove some of the fears that we're facing when we're going to a networking event and understanding what networking really is. Networking is not sales, and you're going to hear that probably several times throughout this presentation, that this is not about selling. We're strictly talking about networking, and there's a huge difference. Why should we network? Statistically, closing a B2B or business-to-business deal can be up to 79% higher by properly networking and building that rapport and building that relationship. Each business owner knows about 250 people. And when you're going into a networking event, I encourage you to remember that that one person that you're meeting has a potential of 250 contacts for you. So it may not be doing business with that one individual directly, but maybe they know somebody who knows somebody. And that can be huge. There's a story, a quick story through a BNI organization where there was a gentleman who owned a paving company, painting the lines on parking lots and stuff. And at the BNI, my understanding was that there was a guest that showed up who actually worked for the GO train. And they were, at the time, internally, they were looking for somebody to paint the lines in all the GO train parking lots. Can you imagine that kind of a contract this guy got? Because he was at the right place at the right time. Didn't do business directly with that individual, but the contact was made there. Turned in a really lucrative business for him. 86% of Fortune 100 US companies engage in social networking, another form of networking. For some businesses, this is a way for them to be networking. And the cost effectiveness. Certainly it is, for us in our particular business, we market very, very little. We don't do the newspaper ads, we don't do the flyers. We've tried radio, we've tried TV, we've tried all kinds of things. For us, what is working in our business is B2B networking. And on average, in our profession, in our industry, sales, which ultimately is the end result from networking, in our industry is about 33 to 34%. Because of the amount of networking that we do, our B2B sales have been up to 75%. Now that is a possibility by networking properly, not necessarily by selling. This is from networking. All right, so this is going to be our agenda. We're going to learn where we can network. That's going to be part of our agenda, on this agenda for today. We're going to talk about our attire and a name tag and how important those are. We're going to talk about the first impression, how important that is. I mean, we've all heard this before, what the importance of a first impression is. We're going to talk about goal setting and how this one task before you go to a networking event can be really, really important and help you in your networking process. How do you work an event? What does that mean? What about handshaking? How many of us know how to properly handshake and what that is saying about you? How about business cards? We've all gone to events and we end up with 75, 80 business cards. What do you do with those? Do you even hand out a business card? What do you do with those cards or those phone calls or those contacts? I can tell you how to follow up successfully and what the time is for that. And in the end, we'll do a question and answer. At any time through this, if anybody has any questions, just sort of raise your hand, see if we can address those for you. So I need somebody to volunteer for me, please, who has very neat handwriting. Who in the audience has neat handwriting? Okay, sure. That's great. Trick, I can move that over. I don't think Greg would like that if I move that over. Okay, so just pick a color. Pick a magic color. Perfect. Okay, so who knows where we can network? Let's hear, just randomly holler out some places where we can network.
Trade shows.
Trade show? Trade show. Just so that everybody can read it and Greg can read it in the back there. Where else can we network?
Chambers of Commerce or boards of trade.
There you go. Good luck. Okay. Where else can we do it? What can we network?
Industry events.
Industry events, okay. So like a Board of Trade or a Chamber of Commerce trade show, showcases, whichever, okay.
Well, gala, like dinners is what I was thinking of.
Okay, yeah,
Like an awards event.
okay, all right.
That's just specific.
Seminar? Seminar, you said? Yeah, seminars. Do I have to slow down? They have to stop yelling out. There we go. Seminars. Where else?
I'll go a little social and say in the mall.
In the mall? Okay. How about your kids' soccer? How about sports events? Okay. What about, who is sometimes our best listener? How about your hairdresser? Can we network at a hairdresser? Okay. I've gotten business from standing in the grocery store. Yes? Church? Sure.
I just write everywhere at the bottom.
Sure. How about if we just write everywhere? Just have to be prepared. We can network at any location, at anywhere we can network. Just be aware and be prepared. Perfect. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you very much. Very nice. So just be prepared. Have your business cards. If you're a business owner and you're not walking around with your business cards, shame on you. Everywhere you need to be networking. Everywhere. Now your attire, and this goes when you're at a networking event or you know that you're going to be attending, I'm going to ask that you make sure that you're all clean and pressed and neat and tidy, because that's part of your first impression, correct? You need some pockets in your jacket, and for women this is really important, and we have touched on this at other events, because when you're going into a networking event, this is what you're going to take with you. You're going to take your keys so you can get back into your vehicle. You're going to take a little bit of cash, all right, if there happens to be a bar there or there's a 50-50 draw or whatever. You're going to take a little notepad and a pen, and you're going to have your business card holder. A very full business card holder, not in a pocket and not in a wallet. You're going to have a proper business card holder. And I do believe we've all been given business card holders in our packages. So make sure you have your business card holder, and mine is here somewhere. Notice that there isn't a purse on there. No purse or briefcase. This is networking. This is networking. This is a hard concept for some, but this is networking. A memorable item. Do you understand what I mean when I say memorable item?
Pin, a scarf.
Sorry?
A pin, a scarf, a special tie.
Something. Yeah. Make something that's... There you go. My son pointed out to me very politely, and he was standing out of driving range, that my hair is my memorable item. And not everybody remembers what I do, but they can go to another chamber member and they can ask, who was the lady there with the gray hair, platinum hair, whichever, with the spiky hair? They remember the hair. That's memorable. So am I going to change that? No. That's what people are remembering. That's my memorable item. There's a gentleman in the Whitby Chamber of Commerce where if you were to ask somebody, who's the man who wears the hat? All of us know it's Edward Lamb from A1 Automotive. They don't always remember the title of his business, but they're remembering the memorable item. So make yourself stand out. Whether or not, you know, you're wearing a jacket, whether or not, I do deliveries with our toner cartridges. I wear this. People are remembering that somebody making a delivery is dressed with heels on. So they don't necessarily remember the company, but it's memorable. So if you want to stand out, get yourself something that's memorable. A red jacket or like an awesome scarf or something like that, and wear it consistently. Be memorable. We've heard this before, no cell phone. Wasn't long ago that we didn't carry these. So we will make it through the networking event by not having a cell phone on us. So that business, that, you know, whoever you're with, you can, whoever, you know, is supposed to be in contact with you, you just mention to them, listen, I'm off limits between this time and this time because I'm at a networking event. All of us have been talking to somebody and their phone rings and they're getting distracted and they stop and they talk to somebody else. How does it make you feel? As mentioned, no purse, no briefcase. You don't need it. This is not selling, this is networking. We're building a rapport, we're making contacts. That's what it is that we're doing. What's the one thing that we haven't mentioned? What could be your best friend in a networking event? Does anybody have any idea what is the one thing that could really help? Sandy.
Well, I'm thinking it's gotta be your smile.
That, for sure. But there's one thing that is really, really important when you're networking.
Well, I think good breath is definitely important when you're networking.
Yes?
I
Yep.
do, and I think
Yeah.
that should be mentioned, honestly, because if you're conversing with a lot of people over the course of a night or
Mhm.
during the day, whatever it is, I think it's really important that you have nice minty breath or whatever you want it to smell like. Because people will remember
Yep.
that breath, and you don't want to be remembered for that.
For sure, and
I think
that
it's
is really
nice to say
important.
that.
Especially for, I don't smoke, and I don't want to be in a tight networking event with somebody that's right here that all I can smell is smoke or Caesar salad or something, for sure. Yeah, that is really important. But that's not what I'm referring to, sorry. It's good though, very good, yes.
Handshake.
Very important in networking, but this is part of your attire. Can somebody tell me? Thank you. Oh, you guys are great. Thank you. Very good, very good. Your name tag. I've closed deals standing in the metro with this thing on. So how many of you wear a name tag? You know, if you're in business for yourself, have a name tag. Now we'll go over that a little bit more on the importance of what this can be in your profession. But this, for us, I don't leave our home until I have my name tag on. And I started wearing this in 2006 for this business, and I can't tell you how many people made fun of me within the chamber because I always have my name tag on. But now, the amount of people that have gone out to buy name tags now is huge because now they know what the difference is. Okay? So spend a little bit extra money. Postnet does them in Whitby. It does a great job. I think Greg just got a name tag as well from Postnet too. It's on a magnet, so it doesn't harm your clothing. We'll go in a little bit more into detail later on about that. Sure.
What would you say is better, a magnet-based style or the lanyard style?
I think magnet is, because this doesn't mark my clothes. I can put it on leather, I can put it on silk, it goes through a sweater. And you know what, it stands out. And I'm in a position to put this in a proper place too. And we'll go over that. There is a proper place to place your name tag, especially for women, some women.
Do you put your name tag on your clothes?
Yes.
On the outside?
If I'm out doing calls, like I was yesterday, and I had to have my name tag on, I put it on my coat because if I'm going into a business, I want if I haven't met you before, I want you to feel comfortable. So hence the name tag. I'm putting that on the outside so you know who I am. It's either that or I got to flash him when I go in, right? Oh, it's Michelle from Cartridge World, right? So you got to think about it, right? So on your name tag, I'm going to ask you, just need your first name. Your last name is already on your business card. And most of the time, I mean, mine's hyphenated and it's long, and some people's last name is difficult to say and stuff. And you want just your first name. That's all you need to have on it. You want it not to be cluttered. Okay? So first name only. Have your business name on it. Okay? Or I don't know, I mean, for you guys to have Durham Regional Labor Training Board, I mean, it's difficult, right, to have it that much on there. So you'd have to have a large or too small of a font, right? If you have a logo and there's room on it, have your logo on there too, because that's your branding, right? You want to incorporate that into where people are looking at this all the time, okay? And I think too, we can have color. I think, Greg, you have color on yours, don't you? Yeah, so color as well. If you can do that, have some color on there, if you've got a little bit of color. But have it done professionally. Go to somebody who knows what they're doing. Legible 24 font. Now I just had mine done up, and this is a 29 font, 29 point font. And mine is 3 inches by 1 inch. It's a little bit bigger, but I would say you got to make sure that it's nice and clear, all right? Do some tests with it. We did some tests on mine to have this thing done. So I had this drafted up. This is so I knew exactly what it looked like. Throw out some designs, Okay, make it a little bit memorable. You know, if you guys notice, mine is more geared towards the left-hand side. Not too many are like that. Just makes it a little bit different, okay? And make sure everything is spelt correctly. Contrasting colors. Now, because I wear mine, the same one over and over again, I've chosen to have the silver with the black. It's really easy to read, very clear and precise. You want to make sure somebody's not coming up to you and squinting because, you know, it's too difficult or it's too cluttered or there's too much verbiage on it, all right? So just be really careful with that. Right shoulder. Does anybody know why?
When you shake hands, it comes forward.
Perfect. That's exactly why. You want to have it on your right shoulder because that's where you're shaking hands and somebody's looking. That's where their eyes are going on the right hand. 2 to 3 inches below your collarbone, that's where you should have it. Depending on what you're selling, ladies, you've got to be really careful where you put it. I've been to lots of trade shows and lots of showcases, and the stickies are going here, right? And you know that you got to be really cautious where you're putting this. And if you happen to be larger, make sure it's up higher because you don't want an attraction. Because for some women, I mean, I had somebody, she wears really, really tight sweaters all the time because she likes wearing tight sweaters, and then she's concerned because people are looking at her. Well, you know, you just have to be really cautious in what it is that you're wearing. Again, 2 to 3 inches below your collarbone.
Just a phrase that I don't think we can emphasize enough the value of that large font and contrasting colors, especially more concerning baby boomers
Correct.
and need to I think that this goes for the business card as well.
For sure, for sure. And this is why, you know, a lot of the times, you know, if you just be really careful. Practice it. Get somebody to do this for you. Okay? Throw a few ideas around. Get some feedback on it. Ask somebody else who's maybe not in your profession, who you trust is going to be really honest with you. Can you read that font? Right? And you know, ask different people. Goal setting. How many of us do this? Every day I do this. Every day. On how much we're going to do in sales for the day. If I go to a networking event, my goal is I'm going to meet 3 new people and start building a rapport with them that I haven't met before. I don't care if I'm there for 20 minutes or I'm there for 3 hours. I need my 3 good contacts. So I would recommend that you write this goal down. Start small. Make it achievable, especially if you have a fear of networking. Make this goal where it's realistic for you. Remember, it's the quality of that contact that you're looking at. It's not, there's 80 people there, I got to collect 80 business cards. You know, don't do that. Don't do that. Make sure that you're building a rapport, you're meeting somebody, and that quality is there. Because if there's 80 people that are in that trade show and you make 1 good contact, that's all you need. That's it. Next time, make it a little bit more challenging, but, you know, keep it simple and realistic. Be accountable. Write it down. And if you're going with somebody to a networking event, please show up at the same place if you want, but don't go around together. Okay, because you'll end up talking about the family dog and the kids and what the spouse just did or didn't do. This is a networking event. You're here for work. Writing it down and being committed to it. All right? Have somebody in your office that you've turned around and you've said, you know, Paul, I'm going to this networking event. I'm committing to meet 3 people. And you could make it into a challenge if you're going to. You know, how many people are you going to meet? What kind of quality are you going to meet? So make sure you commit to it, even if it's to yourself. And be accountable. If you didn't meet those 3 contacts, why didn't I? What did I not do so that I can make sure that I do this again next time? Right? Maybe I was dreaming too high. Maybe I shouldn't have said 3. Maybe because of the amount of people that were there, maybe I should have only said I was going to meet 1 person. Right? But be accountable for that. This is how you would work an event. We want you to be strategic in going to that networking event. Don't visit the bar first, please. It'll be there. So I'm at a networking event, right? So I've got my napkin, and I've got my goopy barbecue chicken wings, right, that are here. Drives me crazy. And I got my beer. Okay? So you come up to me, and you reach out to shake my hand. I got a cold beer in here. Okay, yeah, you're going to drink it. But how am I supposed to be? How am I supposed to meet somebody? How am I supposed? This is not leaving me open to meet somebody. Okay, so leave the chicken wings to the end, and the cold beer. If you gotta have it, put it in his hand. If you can, wait to the end. It'll be there. You're there to do some work. This is not a social event. This is a business event. So please don't visit the bar first. You hear my little voice the next time you go there, right? Get the hell away from the bar, right? When you go there, before you walk in, if this is new to you and you haven't been here before, just scan the room. Stop, have a look around, okay? Familiarize yourself, you know. Proceed to the right. This is where most of us statistically go, as we go to the right. Okay, so, and this also help, knowing this will help you too with picking a, if you're going to have a booth there, this will help you statistically where your booth should be, okay? Proceed to the right, so you're going counterclockwise. Now this depends as well on the layout of your trade show or your showcase that you're going to, or your networking event that you're going to. Depends on whether or not there's just tables around the outside, if there's round tables. See which way the flow is going when you're doing the scanning of the room. You don't want to go up against the flow, okay? You're going to really tick off a lot of people. So just go with the flow. Now you want to be effective when you're at this event as well, okay? So you want to be prepared. So you've already done your goal setting, right? You've done that. You've got your business cards. You've got your pen. You want to advance with confidence, okay? So the smile, right? That's what you want to be able to do. Know what you are going to say, what your opening line is. Your USP, your unique selling proposition, know what that is. All right, practice it, practice, practice. The best advice from one salesman to another, get yourself a tape recorder. Or I think some phones do taping. Practice, practice, practice it. Listen to it back, shorten it down, 30 seconds or less. Okay? You want to be able to establish that rapport quickly. You know, pay attention to what your intuitive signals are telling you. All right? You don't want to be spending, I would say if you're meeting somebody for the first time at a networking event, 8, 9, 10 minutes, tops. Tops. There's lots of other people there for you to visit and lots of other people for them to visit. Okay? Not a social activity, this is business. Shaking hands. We're going to go over an exercise to learn how to properly shake hands. All right? This is really important. Eye contact and smile. You cannot show more self-confidence in not only yourself, but in your business, in your profession, and what it is that you do by keeping eye contact with the individual. This is massive. This is massive. You want to be present. If I'm standing here talking to Paul, I'm with you. There's no music, there's no loud stuff, there's nobody banging into me, there's nobody yelling and screaming. I am with you, right? How many times throughout the day, even with your family, that you're standing there talking to somebody and you're thinking to yourself, this little voice is saying, they're really not hearing what I'm saying. But if you can connect with somebody and you can be present to them, you know, you've really done well, very well. Repeat their name several times. If you can, say their names. You know, really, the only time we get our names said is if somebody's yelling at us or wants something from us. And that's the one thing we can't have taken away from us. So be polite and repeat their names several times. You want to be efficient at what it is that you're doing too. So evaluate that information exchange. Is this person going to be the right fit for you? Can you see yourself maybe doing business with this person? Or they could be a possible strategic alliance. Could you be beneficial to them? Do you think, you know, maybe there's something that you could offer them? You may not necessarily be able to use their services, but do you know somebody who maybe will? Anybody know what that stands for? WIFT? What's in it for them? Okay, so remember, that's what's really, really important. And I think as time goes on, The younger generation is looking at now what's in it for them. So I think this is something really important that we have to remember when you're having a conversation with somebody. And it's a dialogue, not a monologue. And if so, have a monologue on their side. How long have you been in business for? What made you choose to be a lawyer? Where do you practice? How many employees do you have? What school did you go to? Have them talk about themselves. If they don't ask anything about you, totally fine. Find out lots about them. You'll be their best friend. Your best friend. Business cards. You want to know how many business cards? If I'm going to a trade show that has, say, 80 people, how many business cards I'll hand out? Maybe 2. If you ask. I don't hand out my card unless somebody asks. So I might ask you for yours, but I'm not going to just give you my card. I want your information, but I'm not going to be offended if you don't ask me for mine. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to hand it out to you. You know, we've all met that person where, you know, you meet them and they're handing out your business card, handing their business cards, and then they're gone, right? Or they're looking at somebody else, they're gone. And you're thinking, the hell was that, right? So just be really cautious. Just because you're at a networking event doesn't mean you got to hand out your card. No selling. This is just networking. This is starting to build relationships, starting to build rapport, starting to make those contacts. That's what we're doing at a networking event. I have a colleague of mine who joined their Chamber of Commerce, the owner and his salesperson. For 2 years, they went to every single event they could go into. 0 business from it. 0 business. At the same similar events as what we do, I couldn't believe they got 0 business. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, we're going there and we're selling. We're selling toner cartridges to you. I'm telling you, you need to use our services. It's a networking event. That's why. You're ticking off a lot of people here. This is networking. Try it. Try working an event and just building a rapport. Don't sell. Don't give them the latest brochure. Don't tell them what the special of the month is. This is networking. Try it. See how you do with it. Be courteous. Analyze what the interaction is. Can I work with you or can I not work with you? Because if you can't, you know what? Just thank them for their time and move on. Don't apologize for moving on because you're apologizing for yourself. Just say thank you very much. And either if you want to meet with them later on, then set up a time, you know, which is best way for me to contact you. Am I phoning you? Am I texting you? And move on. Thank them and move on. Okay, so I need a volunteer that I haven't shook their hand yet. Who would that be? I need somebody up here who would like to shake my hand. Okay. Okay, I got to do this. Okay, and you are?
Rinka.
Rinka? That's a pretty name, Rinka. And where are you from? What business do you do?
What business?
Yes.
I produce honey.
You produce honey?
Yes.
Oh, very
I'm
good.
a beekeeper.
Anybody who has allergies, speak to this lady. There you go.
That's correct.
There you go.
So many people, they coming in buying a local honey because of the allergies.
Because of the allergies, yes, yes. We tried that for 5 years. My husband doesn't have allergies anymore. There you go. A little bit of a plug for Rinka. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So we haven't met before, right? So what I'm going to do is I want you to really watch here. This is really important. We haven't met before. So I'm coming up to you and I'm going to shake your hand and introduce myself. All right? You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Michelle. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, did you see that? Did you see the response back? Okay, so right now, based on just my handshake, that's it. Would you want to do business with me?
Not really.
Okay.
Because very,
okay, wishy-washy,
Yes.
yucky, right? So how many of you are confident with your handshake? How many of you know that can happen when you're shaking somebody's hand? They may not say anything, but they're not paying attention to what you're saying because they're focused on the handshake. Okay, so we're going to do this again, and I'll give you the right one, okay? All right? Hi, I'm Michelle. How are you?
nice to meet you, Michelle.
So how was that? Better?
Much better.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. Let's thank Rinka very much. Thank you. Now we actually have somebody sitting in here, which I've sort of cornered her a little bit to ask her. Priscilla, actually, when I first went in to see Heather and Priscilla about the presentation, Priscilla, shook my hand. And I didn't say anything then. I waited, very politely waited until the end. And she asked me about her handshake. And Priscilla had something she'd like to say.
I was always really nervous with giving handshakes. And Michele, that she noticed that right away, that my handshake wasn't confident. So since then, it's really helped me be a bit more confident. I'm more conscious. I practice it more, and I try to remember every time to give a good handshake to try to just present myself in a better light. And it's funny because now I also will notice when somebody's not giving me a proper handshake, and it's like, oh, that's when they do that. So, yeah, so it's
very, very important. Yeah. And it can boost your confidence. I mean, it's amazing where you just start feeling better about who you are and what it is that you're doing as well. So thank you very much, Priscilla. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, now.
Say, for example, myself, I always have cold hands. I don't know if it's circulation, my strong physique.
Oh,
do you have tips on things like that, specific tips on helping people with that handshake?
There is. There's a few tips that we're going to go over on handshake do's and stuff. Here's some handshake do's and excuse me, for sometimes for some people who have difficulty with their hands, temperature, whatever. We want your hand to be your palm to be slightly upward. Not a lot, but just slightly, okay? This means you're a little bit more open. Too much is you're a little bit too submissive. So you still want to be in control. So just a little bit slight towards the sky. You want it to be a firm, dry grip. For some people, they have a tendency to have sweaty or clammy hands. Well, that jacket that you're wearing or those pants that you're wearing, okay, you just do this, okay? Very subtle. Nobody's seeing it, right? You just wipe your hand off, right? If you go into the lav or to the washroom, right, and it's open and people can see you, make sure you dry your hands, you know? So, because there's nothing worse than seeing somebody come up from the bathroom and they're coming up to shake your hands and their hand is wet and you're like, you don't do one of those. So just be really cautious.
Man has a handkerchief and you have to use it wisely.
For sure, and for some people their hands are just really sweaty if they're nervous. Now hopefully from doing some of this stuff here, that will help remove some of that fear, right? Because it's a fear thing too, right? You want to smile. Remember we talked about the contact and the confidence level. Keep your eye contact. 2 or 3 times. That's it. I spoke with a gentleman yesterday and he says, oh, I know how to do a handshake. He said, I hold on to their hand until they give me their name. And it's like, oh, okay, he's not standing, you know, I'd be standing there for ages with him. I'm not going to if I don't feel comfortable, I'm not going to give him my name. Yes?
I'll comment briefly on eye contact.
Yeah.
We are not dealing with the lots of influx of immigrants. And some countries, eye contact is forbidden. I manage condominiums and I deal with a lot of Arabs, especially the women. The women look into my eye when they're talking. They come and drop off their maintenance fee and they just walk away.
And that's not only with the eye contact, but that also comes with shaking hands as well. And you've got to be very, very cautious. I was at an event in Arizona last year, I believe it was. And it was in a room of 500 people. And there was somebody of a different faith where I went to go and shake his hand. And he said to me, I can't shake your hand. You know, my wife isn't here and he's not allowed to touch a female. So he said, I can't shake your hand. So I said to him, you know, thank you very much. I respect that. You can't. But in our culture, we shake hands. And I need to shake your hand. So what is it that we could do so that it would satisfy your faith and satisfy my need to give you a handshake? And he stopped and he looked at me and he thanked me for asking. And he said, how about if we do this, but we don't touch? And we didn't. For 6 days, we're doing this. For 6 days. Now all of a sudden, he's doing it with everybody, right? So we didn't touch, but for me, I needed to do that. And I think we need to be really respectful of other cultures, But also be respectful to yourself too. And he acknowledged and liked the fact that I was very open with him and said, but I need to shake your hand, right? So let's come up with something else. So we did that. It was hilarious watching him going like this with everybody.
Yes, I'm finding a lot of people these days because of the germs situation are not shaking hands that way.
Same thing, and you ask. Just whatever. I don't care if it's an elbow, whatever. And you know what? It just makes it a little bit more comfortable too, right?
But if you're like, especially now in the season, you have your gloves on.
Remove your gloves. There's an etiquette as well for shaking hands, and you don't shake hands with the glove on. Okay? These aren't new tips or ideas. This is the gentleman's way to shake a hand. And I think there's a certain protocol and a certain respect on doing this properly, for sure. Again, respect the cultural diversity. If you're going somewhere where they don't shake hands, make sure you've done your homework first before you go. Here in Durham, 99% of us are shaking hands. So just make sure you know what it is that's going on in the area that you're visiting. These are handshake don'ts. Don't do the fist shake. We've all got this. This is awful. I mean, you want to like do one of these, right? So just be really cautious that you're not shaking like this, okay? Hand crush. How many of us have received these? This is awful. I have osteoarthritis in all of my joints and in my thumb. And if somebody were to squeeze my hand too tight, I'm down for the count for 4 days. Now, would any of you have known? Doesn't look like it. Arthritis doesn't have a particular gender. It doesn't have an age. It doesn't have a race that it chooses. It can be anybody that you're meeting. Respect that.
Yes. I find, not being trying to be gender specific here, but when a man shakes your hand, he tends not to squeeze enough because we're also delicate, fragility might break. So guys, you tend to have sometimes a little bit of a wet fish handshake because you're afraid of hurting us. And then on the other side, my husband did the whole hand crush thing. Fortunately, he probably's been doing it his whole life and had no idea. And he had a good friend of his who's like, buddy, you don't have to like, it's not a competition here, like you can back off. So but he had no idea. My point is you have no idea. So you have to practice a handshake with someone who's going to tell you.
Precisely. Precisely. And we're going to do that. We're going to do an exercise here that I would like everybody to shake hands and critique positively. We're going to do that after the slides here. Two-handed shake. Now, this is at funerals or, sometimes at a wedding or something. I mean, we'll do that if you haven't seen somebody for a while. Watch politicians. Sometimes, like, politicians will do this. It's a little bit slimy, really, if not done in the right way, okay? So just be careful with the two-handed handshake. Sometimes if you want to do a two-handed handshake, sometimes shaking somebody's hand and maybe going like this, right? Like having your hand up their arm a little bit. If you feel like that's what you need to do, give that a try. See whether or not you're comfortable with that. Finger shake, same thing. Especially if you're getting this from a guy who's like 6'4" and he's like built like a brick house, right? Getting this, and because it makes you go like this, right? Wow. You just have to choose the right words, but have them practice it. And the exercise that we're going to do is I'm going to ask you, when you're shaking people's hands, don't tell them what they're doing wrong. Tell them what they can do to make it correct. Okay, I think if you can word it that way, then I think that's much better. Okay? Moist handshake, we talked about that. Just have a hanky in your pocket, or just make sure that you're wiping your hand a little bit beforehand, right? But just if you happen to be on the receiving end of this, don't be wiping yourself off in front of them, because I mean they're probably really, really embarrassed by it. Hug. How many of us had the person, you see them in the room and they're coming to hug you and you don't want to hug? Do you want to know how to get out of it without embarrassing them? Who'd like to be a volunteer for this? I'll show you how to get out of the hug. Sandy, come on up. I'm gonna use you here. So we've all had this event, especially you ladies, where you know you go into this event and you see the guy across the room and you know he's coming to you and you think, oh, I just don't want to hug him. Oh, I don't want to get this hug from him.
I normally like to hug, so this is going to be tough.
But also we have to remember here, we're at a networking event. This is business, and you know, you really, before you hug somebody, you should ask. You should get their permission first. Okay. So all right. So. Okay, so you want to hug me.
I want to hug you.
Okay, but I don't want to get a hug from you. But I don't want to embarrass you, and I know it's coming. So you go to hug me. Okay, hi. Hi, Sandy, you look
oh my
great.
gosh, you're strong.
You look great. But you know what? I mean, you can do this. You grab by the arms where you can, right? And then you just gradually go to the hand. You look great, Sandy. It's a pleasure to see you. But you know what? You got to be firm.
She is firm.
You have to be firm, because I'm telling you, don't put your arms around me, right? But I don't want to embarrass you.
Okay.
I don't want to embarrass you in front of a bunch of people. Do you know what? They'll never try and hug you again. Guaranteed, they won't.
I've never had anyone do that, so that's...
Well, there you go. But I mean, for all of us, we've had that person where we don't want to hug for whatever reason, right? Give it a try. See how you do. Just be ready and be prepared that, you know, wherever if their arms are going up, you got to be prepared for that. But, you know, be firm. Don't do the clasp on them, but, you know, make sure that they're getting the message here. Okay? Okay, so what we're going to do now is I would like all of us to sort of take 5 minutes, if we can, and I want you to go around and shake people's hands, and I would like you to critique them on what they could do better to improve their handshake. Okay? So if we wanted to sort of do that, please. Remember, we're not selling, we're networking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, that's right, that's right. Okay, we're going to talk about business cards. And how do you hand them out, or do you hand them out? First, proper holder. Okay, I think all of you got a business card holder in the bag that we got. Thank you. Don't put them in your wallet. Don't put them in your pocket. Don't put an elastic band around them. Okay, business card holder. Keeps them neat and tidy. No rough edges. Okay, so do that. Make sure that they're easily accessible, that you can open up the folder and not have to have a look at it, and you can pull it out and not have to have a look at it. Now, because we're a franchise, ours have to be a certain way. But if you're independent, give this huge consideration of how you're going to design your business card. Okay? Make it unique, make it memorable, make it a reflection of you. There's a gentleman, a home inspector that a few of us know here. I think he's got a picture of his dog on the back of his, isn't he? I think. Does Don have a picture of the dog? I think we talked about it. I mean, his dog goes everywhere with him. Everywhere with him. And he's a good-looking dog. Don's not bad. Okay, be discriminate. Careful what you're putting on it. All right, be very careful. You don't want to give away everything. You want to leave something to as well that people are going to be asking you. Okay. When you receive a business card, acknowledge it. Now, in some cultures, I believe in Oriental, I think cultures or Thailand, Japan, stuff, when you're handing somebody a business card, they're handing it to you like this, right? Yes, and so be respectful, you know, certainly when you're doing that. At the time, if you're with somebody and it's a different culture, sometimes writing on a business card can be really insulting. So be very cautious of what is the right and wrong thing to do when you're meeting somebody here. If I'm going to write on the back of somebody's business card, like when I go out to do my sales, I ask them, would it be all right if I just wrote this down on the back of your business card? And you know, they're just not asked. So it just shows a sign of respect. So, and I put down whatever pertinent data is. And sometimes, you know what, if I'm meeting somebody and they've got a purple scarf on, if I know I'm going to be meeting a whole bunch of people, I just might write on the back of your card that you had on a purple scarf. Because that's going to now trigger, right, that I'm going to remember who you were. And, you know, maybe that'll bring back some, you know, trigger off some other stuff that maybe we talked about, right? What do you do with all those business cards? Oh, one thing I should mention, sorry, I meant to do this. I'm right-handed. So when I'm going out to meet somebody, my business cards are in this pocket. Because when I come to meet you, very smooth. Like this, I'm pulling this out and I'm handing it to you like this. Now if this was in my other hand, this is not my dominant hand. So I'm going to be yanking out my business card and I'm probably going to drop it and stuff. So be very careful that you're going to do it and it's more of a smooth flow and you're not going to drop it and you're going to be able to hand it over and it's going to look like you're really slick. Okay? If I were to receive business cards from you guys, they do not go in here. Does anybody know why? How many of us have received a business card from somebody and it's got a visa number on the back or a date on the back? Okay, you got to be really careful that the business cards that you're handing out, you shouldn't even have to look whether or not it's yours. I mean, all of us have received business cards from somebody that's had writing on it from somebody else. So be really careful. So that business card that I'm getting from you goes in a totally different pocket, does not go in the same pocket. All right? Be really cautious of that.
Michelle, what about the theory of bringing out 2 business cards and keeping one thing away?
I think you can, but that's more for the sales. Unless they've been very specific where they've asked you for 2 business cards, right? But remember now, chances are you're still building a rapport. When it comes to the sales or closing, that I understand that and I'm pro that. But I think that maybe comes at a later date. I think this is, we're working on relationship building here, right? And I think this is one thing that we have a tendency to cross the line over sometimes where this isn't sales, this is networking. In invoices that I do or on letters and stuff, I send out too. So as more of a follow-up, right? Now, follow-up here, the next day after you've got all your business cards and stuff, how long do you wait for them to contact you? Does anybody know? How long am I going to wait for Priscilla to contact me? I'm not going to wait. I'm contacting her within probably 48 hours. 24 to 48 hours. So depending on the day of the event, right, depending on what day it's going to fall on, depending on conversation that I had with her. But chances are, if she's asked me for a business card, I'm going to get in contact, or I've asked her for a business card, I'm going to be in contact with her within 24 to 48 hours. If she's at a toner, I'm contacting her, I'm calling her by the end of the day. So you need to know in your profession, and you can find this stuff out, like at what time, what's the right time to be getting in contact. Because I can guarantee you, if she's met 4 or 5 other people that are in my profession, nobody else is calling her. So I will be contacting her. I want her business. So understand what it is, what your profession is and what your contact is. If, you know, depending, like for you guys, I don't know how if somebody's asked you for some information, I mean, how long do you wait till you get back in contact with them? You know, I mean, I think when I sent you guys a quote, I waited, I think it was 5 or 6 days.
Well, you called me within 2 days of me getting your card, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you followed up
Yep,
afterwards again.
yep, always.
Further information.
Always follow up.
That was great.
Statistics are tremendously high on follow-up, the amount of people that don't follow up. Now remember here, we're nurturing our contacts, we're building a rapport, okay? So you want to thank them as well for spending the time with you. If you've spent that 8 minutes at that networking event, you want to thank them for their time, all right? No sales info. Not at that point yet. We're still nurturing and building that relationship. We're still building that rapport, okay? Mention their memorable milestone. Loved your scarf, you know? So mention that if you've noticed something about it. You know, I really love those shoes that you had on, or something. Just be, you know, mention a compliment. Say a compliment to them. Or, you know what, I mean, if the kid's birthday was on the weekend, oh, by the way, how'd your kid's son's birthday go? Right? Like, ask them to start talking about themselves again. That's how you're going to build that rapport up. Rapport building never stops. We've been working with companies since 2006, and I am still building a rapport with those people. Still doing it to this day. I just stop in. I might take them a case of oranges for Christmas. I remember that, you know, they took the kid to the zoo, right? We're not always doing business. I'm just building the rapport, because I know, like in most professions, there's more than us doing our business. I've got to be that much different. Nobody else in our business is building rapport. So they're going to do business with us. And I've had people say, so-and-so has called us for some cartridges. But you know what, I really like you. You're really nice and you take the time and stuff. And you know what, we're just going to stick with you. And I tell these people, there's no way we're going with you. There's no way you can touch the service and the building the rapport and the relationship. Try it. See how you do with that. What makes you different? Build a rapport with these people. So, in summary here, we've gone over where we can network. And then we've realized that really you need to be prepared and you can network anywhere, okay? Just be ready for it. We've learned the importance of an attire and what to wear. If everybody else in your profession is wearing jeans, the home inspector that we know, I had talked to him and I said to him, lose the tracksuit, lose the sweatshirt. You want to be different, be memorable, wear a shirt and a tie and a blazer. You want to know what happened to his business? He is so busy right now because of just making some few minor changes. Because you know what? He's a home inspector and he's showing up with a shirt and a tie on. Makes a huge difference for him. That's your first impression. You won't get a second chance. You will not get a second chance. Setting a goal. How important and less stressful that can make that networking event for you if you were to set yourself an achievable goal and remember to be accountable for that. We went over how to properly work an event, how you walk into the room, which way you go, what do you do. We talked about the handshaking, did the handshaking exercises. Practice that. Ask somebody truthfully, tell me how I'm doing. Is it too strong? Is it too wimpy? Was it too hot? I'll tell you, shaking hands with somebody where their hands are warm, compliment them on that. People love hearing that, especially like today, if your hands are cold or something. I say that to people, if I'm in there, oh, your hands are so nice and warm, right? Compliment them on it. Business cards. I think today probably an eye-opener is that you don't have to hand out your business card. You don't have to do it. So only hand it out if it's been sincerely asked for. And don't ask for a business card unless you're really sincere about it. And follow-up. It's like 94%, 95% of people don't follow up. How many business deals have you lost by not following up?
Yes. How many times do you follow?
I can only speak right now for our particular industry. I am still following up and building rapport with people who started with us in 2006, stopped using our services, and I am following up on phone calls still to this day. And if I'm going to be calling them in about a month, I ask them, like, when would you change your toner cartridge? Now, I'm just talking about, I know specifically right now what I'm doing. I'm not doing a plug or a thing for us. I will ask you, how often are you changing your toner cartridge? And if you say to me, I'm changing it every 6 weeks, say, well, how about, may I call you in 5 weeks to see how you're doing and if I can be of any service to you at that time? I'm asking you your permission, but that's based on our industry.
Right. So you're following up even so it didn't work out a couple of times previously?
Because in our industry, techniques and toners, and sometimes we can't do your toner, if it's a relatively new one. So I might say to you, listen, we might be able to do that in 4 months. How about if I call you? You're changing in 6 months, I'll call you in 5 months and I'll follow up with you and see whether or not we can be of any service to you. I think you really need to know your profession and you need to find out what your competitors aren't doing. And our competitors aren't doing that. They're not asking that permission. I'm going to ask the permission. So, now we're at any questions? Does anybody have any questions they would like to have attempted to be answered?
Yes. Some other techniques that you can recommend for memorizing names just in the first?
I'm really, really good at not remembering names. So, what I've taught myself is how to ask for somebody's name. And I can get around by not mentioning a name sometimes. But I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that. I know there's somebody in the Whitby Chamber of Commerce, Teresa, she remembers everybody's name. I can call and say, listen, there was a girl at the networking event 3 months ago, she had a purple scarf on, and she knows exactly who it is, right? So sometimes we're good at that. I think there are books and there are things that you can do to help train yourself by doing that. I've always not been good at it, so I couldn't probably pass that on to you. Is anybody else?
Yes. Yeah, Michelle, you mentioned earlier something about people who hand out too many business cards at social events. I'm just wondering, when you first started networking, did you make that same mistake?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And how long did it take before you finally, my aha moment? Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. I think in this business, I had thought when we first started this particular cartridge business that you had a printer, you needed me. And I was handing you out a card. And now I realize I came to a real aha moment because I actually, whenever we had somebody that would be new in our profession, I would be the first one on their door and introduce myself, right? And I realized over time that everybody doesn't need us. You don't need me. And I'm not important to you till you run out. So now what I've learned in this business is that I need to be memorable for you. I need you that when the time is right, that you're going to think, I'm out of toner, I need something today. What am I going to do? So hence the memorable stuff. You're not going to remember me if you just put toner in for 5-6 weeks. You're just not going to remember me. So I think handing out the business cards, I think can be good by handing them out depending on your profession. For us, I hand out more magnets because you're going to stick it on your filing cabinet or on your fridge or something, right? So I found what's working in this business, and I think it's important for bees. You've got to find something that's going to make you stand out from the other beekeepers, or for the health food stores, or for the allergist, or for the pediatrician. What is it that you can do to make you stand out? May not be handing out business cards. Maybe it's sending out a flyer. Maybe it's sending out, I don't know, it could be something funny or funky, or recipes with honey in it, whatever, something. Find out in your profession what's going to make you stand out. I just don't like getting a whole bunch of business cards either, because I'm going to turf them. Unless I'm interested, I'm going to turf them. So why would I hand you one? You know, what do most of us do with business cards? We throw them out. I don't want to deal with that person. Forget it. And out it goes. So what makes us different? So, any other questions?
Yes. I don't know if you want to call it like strategic networking. You've sort of, planned to go to one of these networking events, and you have a particular company that you'd like to try to meet. Do you have any suggestions on how you approach that? Like, have you figured out who your person is? I need the director of HR, and I know they're going to be there. What's a good way to approach that person?
Hi, Michelle. I'm Michelle. I've been wanting to meet you.
And
have her talk about herself. Tell me about your business. How long have you owned that? What made you decide to get into this? How many employees do you have? Get her talking about herself. Just walk up.
Yes. And then I'll pay back to you by introducing yourself. Make a specific asking if you and that individual can discuss some specific opportunities after the networking.
Yes. Not then. Yes. You say, I really want to be able to have the opportunity to sit down and speak with you. Are you available next week? Can I contact you? And we'll maybe come up with a date or a time. And then if you say I'm going to contact you tomorrow, you contact her tomorrow. Right? And if it's better should I contact you by email? May I call you? Right? And then, based on our conversation that we had yesterday, we agreed that we would meet next week. I'm just calling to make sure that, I'm just calling to confirm what day is going to work for you. I'm available these days. What works for you? Just make sure you do that follow-up. Just go right up to them.
Because you don't know, I manage condos, and at the trade shows, there'll be a bunch of contractors that come in to sell me. Snow plowing contractors, HVAC, insurance, brokers coming to talk to a specific condo property manager because they know I'm managing this huge portfolio. I'm also going to the same trade show. I have an agenda. So you're walking in to try to interrupt my agenda. It may break the deal. So if you give me that courtesy and say, this is me, I'm Michelle, I would love to speak to you if you have a moment. Fantastic deal for me.
If you're at a networking event and you see two people talking, two people, do not interrupt them. If you're at a networking event and you want to break into a group, 3 or more. If you go to 2, they're probably in a really good conversation, right?
I just had a situation happen where I was in a conversation with a prospective client, and a previous client came up and, or current client came up and interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of one of those situations. It was like I took the opportunity to introduce them, they're competitors, but then I lost that.
That's right. So don't interrupt a twosome.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 or more. Okay, because I think it's a bit easier to be able to get in that. Pardon?
The existing client or the new one that I actually had his attention.
Well, I mean, that's your call. I would prefer to go with the new one if you've already got that other one, right? But I would strongly recommend, 3, 4, 5 people. Okay, that's you're going to break into that. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
I think one thing that we've touched today that is very important is naming tag. Mm-hmm. Traditionally, we all go the left.
Yeah.
Right? And today, when I'm shaking the hands.
Mm-hmm. Your eyes automatically veer that way. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. It does. Yeah. Lots of people put it on this side because it, we do it. Yeah. But put it over here. Yeah. Yeah. But try it. See how you do with it. Postnet in Whitby, Don McCallum, great guy. He did this. I know he did Greg's as well. I think they send him away. This is a special font. They were able to do this for me, and I know with the help of Priscilla as well, they also did some cards for us that I'm going to hand out to everybody here. These are designed so these will fit in your wallet, business card size. There's some tips on them, basically that we went over today on how to network successfully and what to do and what not to do. There you go. So these are just some little tips. Have we got time to go over these? Okay. If you're prone to crossing your arms, how many of us do that? Okay. Try this. You're standing there. You don't want to cross your arms because that's a closed position, right? We don't want to do that. I don't want you near me. Closed position. Even if it's cold, we have a tendency to do that, right? But you can feel awkward doing this, right? And you're thinking, you say, okay, what do I do with my hands? What do I do with my hands, right? And we're thinking that, right? Just do this. You got one free hand. Just rub your finger, baby finger, and your thumb together. You keep them busy, okay? The person in front of you doesn't see that. They can't hear anything, right? But you're doing something, so it's helping you relax a little bit, all right? So give that a try. See how you make out with that. If you're nervous and you're going to speak too fast, that's what your fear is, or you're told you speak too fast, slow down so you can hear yourself. I gave this tip to a young girl. She was getting up for the very first time, talking in front of like 125, 130 people. And she was so scared. And the owner had said to her, go talk to Michelle. She'll give you a really good tip. So she came over and you could just see, she was just in a panic. And I said to her, when you get up there, look around the room, right? Acknowledge everybody, a couple seconds, and then talk so that you can hear what it is that you're saying. Because if you talk too fast, then your mind's just going to race, right? But if you talk at a good level where you can hear what it is that you're saying, you'll have a tendency to talk at a better pace. You're not going to click with everybody. We've been in trade shows where, we've had this happen, where you just feel that it's just not there. Don't waste your time because maybe they're thinking the same thing. Thank them very much and just move on. Acknowledge their time though, okay? Again, keep your business card in your pocket, in your left pocket. Practice it. Make sure that that's a really good fluid movement that it is that you're doing, okay? We talked about not going to the bar first. Now you all know why not to go to the bar first, okay? And wearing something unique, purple scarf, or show off something distinct about you or your individual style, whatever it might be. Because remember, first impressions, you will never, ever get a second chance. There's a couple of books I'm going to suggest if you're a salesperson. A gentleman by the name of Ron Willingham. Willingham. He wrote a book on selling in the 21st century. Anybody who's in sales, which all of us are, a must read. He goes back to basics on selling. He has one as well called The Psychology of Selling. I would say you should be in selling for about 20, 25 years to really get this. It's an excellent book as well. It's a tough read. You really have to be a salesperson to understand it. So Ron Willingham, you probably have to order the book. Anybody that I've worked with, that is a must read. Byron Katie, I don't know how many of you have heard of Byron Katie. Excellent author, has nothing to do with selling or networking, but very motivational, and it gives you a whole different perspective on how to behave and what to do and what not to do and what's real, and not take the no personally, okay? She came, in one of her books, she has this quote in there, that there is no greater illusion than fear. And if I have helped anybody, just help them be able to remove that fear by going out and looking forward to the networking process, then my job is done. Thank you.
Thank you.